When people hear about insect cannibalism, people associate it with the praying mantis or the black-widow spider. This, however, is just common stereotypes that are not true and rather representative of insects' behavior to cannibalize. In the chapter Sexual Cannibalism or Size Matters, in his book Cannibalism, A Perfect Natural History, author and zoologist Bill Schutt explains that insect cannibalization is much more common than we think it to be, and it serves a more specific purpose in nature. But what Schutt also emphasizes in his book is that human cannibalism is much more common than we care to think about. Cannibalism is not limited to the uncivilized days of old, or of the social deviants like Jeffrey Dahmer or movie antagonist Hannibal Lecter. China in the 1960s had widespread cannibalism. The reason being, as explained by its participants, was that humans simply tasted good. Many cultures today and in human history have participated in the consumption of human flesh, but to understand what functions it serves in human society, we should look at its functions in insect biology. Mantis cannibalization is often seen as the go-to idea when a person thinks about sexual cannibalism in insects. However, this is often not the case in nature. Female mantises rarely cannibalize their mates, and only do so when presented with starvation and or nutrient deficiency. What has been seen in mantises that do eat their partners is that they generally are in better health and produce larger eggs and more offspring. As for the males, it appears that getting their heads ripped off also serves a purpose rather than being just a nice snack for their mate. With a very few encounters with other mantises, males would be more biologically able to pass on the DNA if they had a mate that was well fed and healthy. Another interesting fact is that researchers have found that the decapitated males found a steady rhythm after the heads had been removed, and release more sperm than their head-equipped counterparts. However, it is important to note that the decapitation of males in nature is not the norm. Female mantids that have been studied had been food deprived, but the fascination of eating their mate's head while copulating stuck in the general public's minds.
Many people get the wrong idea about sexual cannibalism in spiders, but there is a reason as to why they do it. For starters, when it comes to mating purposes, the female spider dominates it. But the aggression of female spiders towards males is a myth. In fact, some of the black male widow spiders would live in the female's web for several weeks after copulation, and they would even share their prey together. There is very little danger for the male spider when the female is ready to mate, unless the male spider showed up when the female was hungry. When it comes to the Australian redback spider, the male spider often gets eaten by the female after copulation. Before that happens, the male spider has to attract the female in order to mate. Usually the male will try to get the female spider's attention by bouncing up and down by her web and throwing silk around. He has to do this for a while considering he's only about a fifth her size. Then, the spider will initiate physical contact with the female with behavior such as tapping, probing, and nuzzling. Once the male reaches the female's epigenal opening, he will transfer sperm through his pedipalps into the female. After this happens, the male spider will move where his abdomen will be resting on the female's mouth opening, where she vomits enzymes to express her gratitude towards the male. She will then consume the male spider's abdomen. The male will then leave half-eaten and come back to the female, where he will perform the same acts as before, which lets the female consume the rest of the male. The reason why female spiders will eat the whole male spider is because it is a way for the male to pass his genes onto the offspring. Also, male spiders who are cannibalized after copulation make much more offspring than non-cannibalized males. The female often eats small male spiders over large ones because the small ones were seen to be more healthy. There are some rare occasions when the male spiders are larger than the female spiders. When this happens, males become very picky towards females and will most likely consume them for food and not for mating matters.
So what does insects devouring their mates have anything to do with humans? Although it's rarely spoken about, it isn't uncommon for humans to practice cannibalism too. However, human reasoning behind cannibalism is different than insects. When humans do it, it's based off of their group's beliefs, culture, or wants. When insects do it, it's for survival and reproduction. Cannibalism is practiced in many places and by many tribes. One tribe in particular, the Gorawi tribe in Indonesia, practices cannibalism as a way to seek revenge against someone. For example, when someone mysteriously dies or is killed, they believe it's the result of the kakua, a witchman possessing the person's body and poisoning their insides or killing them. So they eat the kakua to get back at him for killing that person. The kakua is the last person the deceased spoke to, singled out, or had troubles with. They prepare him by steaming him over leaves and rocks. They then give the head of the witchman to the person who initially found him, as a trophy and meal of honor. To justify this tradition, they label the kukua as an evil spirit, so they believe that they're eating an evil spirit, not a human. Children under 13 are not allowed to partake in the consumption of the kukua since it's evilly spirited and can bring them bad luck. But you don't have to go to Indonesia or very far to find cannibalism. It's also a fetish amongst us humans called verophilia. In 2001, Armin Meiwes advertised on the internet for a young, well-built man who wanted to be eaten. Burns Brandeis replied, describing his strong desire to be eaten for sexual gratification. So on the evening of March 9th, the two men went up to Meiwes' bedroom where Mr. Brandeis swallowed 20 sleeping tablets, before Meiwes mutilated him with his agreement. This was not the only case. So although taboo, cannibalism happens more often than we think in insects, reptiles, mammals, and humans. So what do you guys think? Should cannibalism be more accepted? Is it still as weird as you think? What if a person wants to be eaten for sexual gratification? If male spiders get eaten because they want to, why can't humans? After all, we're animals too. What makes us different?